Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Each week, our hosts will be interviewing local, regional, and national business leaders to give you an inside peek into how they lead their business to success in the ever-competitive business climate.
Welcome to another special episode of Inside the Firm. Today we are broadcasting from the AIA convention on the floor in the ARCAT booth. As you can see here on YouTube, if you're listening terrestrially, you'll just have to imagine what it looks like. And I have a special guest, sort of impromptu, from CENTRIA, Julie. Julie, who are you? What do you do? How did you get here?
I'm Julie Schessler. I am a product manager at CENTRIA. I've been with CENTRIA for about 3.5 years. We manufacture a variety of building envelope solutions, insulated metal panels, and single skin solutions. So yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
How did you get into the industry? I mean, were you playing basketball before this and then you wanted to switch?
No, before CENTRIA, I was working at a company called Forms and Surfaces, which is also in Pittsburgh and manufactures interior architectural products.
Oh, okay.
The industry is pretty small, and when I was ready to do something else, CENTRIA was there, and I knew some people that worked there that had been previous coworkers of mine, and it was a really good fit. So.
Got it. What did you go to school for?
I started in architecture. And then,
like to be an architect?
Yes, I did.
Oh.
And then I changed my major, and I ended up in writing. So a little bit of marketing mixed in there, and
why did you switch from architecture to marketing? Writing.
Even though I love architecture and I love looking at architecture, I think after my first year, it was just, I didn't see myself being creative in that way all the time.
Oh, okay.
So I ended up kind of shifting gears, but still loving architecture. And then I sort of fell into architectural product marketing, and here I am.
Yeah. So tell us about your day-to-day at CENTRIA. You know, what are your responsibilities, and how do you try to get CENTRIA out to the world for everybody to understand?
So product management's a little bit different everywhere, but at CENTRIA, we do a lot of product development, sales strategy, where is the marketplace going? Where do we want to go? What new products do we need? I talk a lot with our sales team, with our dealers, with our customers, to try to figure out what direction we want to go in. And then whenever we do launch new products and keeping our existing products updated, I work with our internal marketing team and make sure all the website documents are up to date, that we have photography of our products, things like that.
Yeah. When I was speaking with Brian earlier with ARCAT, VP of Marketing, one of the things that he brought up that I thought was a really interesting, like, it's obvious once he said it, but before that I wouldn't even have thought of it, is that he's like, well, what I like to do is I like to go right to the architects.
Yeah.
And he said they will bluntly tell you, here's where you need to put your product, so I see where it's at. Or do you guys kind of have that strategy too?
Yeah. We obviously list our products with ARCAT, and there's some other places as well. We find that most architects will want to be directed to our website at some point. That's where all of our product information is housed. You can download all of our, brochures from there. So, yeah, I think definitely some people still like to have those physical brochures.
Sure.
There's always going to be that desire to kind of look at it and kind of handle it, but I think a lot more traffic is going to the website. Yeah.
Well, tell us about CENTRIA and some of the new exciting things that are maybe coming online. If you can tell us, what versus what's proprietary or not, that sort of thing.
No, absolutely. So we're always looking at ways to improve our systems with insulated metal panels. You've got building envelope building science that goes into it, and how can we improve our values, and how can we make our installation easier and make it more cost effective for the labor market, especially with the labor market being what it is now.
Yeah.
So we're looking at different ways to do what we like to call additive manufacturing, so that there's less labor in the field. So we'll do more in the facility, and then there's less that needs to be done. So with a tough labor market, we're really just looking to help the customers get their products on the wall faster.
Smart. I got to imagine that's one of your pitches then, when you guys are talking to contractors or specifiers and that
Absolutely.
whole thing.
Time savings, simplicity, lack of opportunity for errors goes down when we're doing that, as opposed to
because you're in the controlled environment
exactly,
and that sort of thing.
Correct.
Yeah. Talk about COVID, and I don't mean the disease specifically, but I'm talking about. So I'm an architect plus a general contractor, and the supply chain has just like out of control.
Yep.
It seems to be getting a little bit better, but I would love to hear, like, did you guys see any pinch points?
Oh, absolutely.
How did you solve pinch point problems? Where do you see? Is the supply chain getting better?
Yeah, it seems to be like a rolling issue, right? So we'll see. At the beginning of COVID, we started to see a lot of issues at once, and then it slowed down, and steel was obviously a big problem to get in-house, and it really slowed us down for a while. We worked through that, and now we're stocking more material than we typically would have before, knowing that this could happen again. And now there's some issues with coatings, across the industry, getting raw materials for those. And even like our sealants, we've had some issues with that. So we've just had to make some adjustments along the way and find substitutions. And even with our foam products, the same thing, just doing a couple of swaps on some of our components, and we've rolled with it, and we've managed to keep going. But it was definitely challenging, especially in 2021.
Yeah. How about remote working? I know this is sort of off tangent and like not directly with CENTRIA, but did you guys go from in-house to remote, and now are you back to hybrid? Like, where is that? So
we went on, it was March 13th, 2020 was the last day we were in the office, and we all just went home. We thought it would be 2 weeks.
Right.
And even then we thought, oh my gosh, how are we going to all work from home for 2 weeks? We just... Were
you prepared? We
weren't.
Okay.
But our company quickly got us prepared for all of us to work from home. So that Monday afterwards, we were all hitting the ground running, and there were growing pains, learning to work together, using Teams every day instead of walking to somebody's desk to talk to them.
Yeah.
And it was definitely hard at first. And again, like, we thought it was going to be 2 weeks when we first went home. Yep. And then 2 years later, we finally went back to the office very recently.
So like literally just this last spring?
Yeah, in March, we had everybody come back. So
full time?
Most of the people come in Tuesday through Thursday. The leaders are typically there all week. So we have some leadership meetings that happen on those days that the people aren't there. But we've been more flexible too if people have needs where they need to be at home, and especially if people are sick. We obviously don't want them coming in.
Well, I think that was one of the biggest learning lessons for everybody. Is like for me and Alex, my business partner, and the co-host of the show, is like that was one of the we were always those people of like, if you're sick, stay home. Like
right.
Why is this even a question? And then the rest of society finally caught up. Like, stay home if you can. Obviously, some people can, if they're blue collars or whatever like that. So what do you think of the hybrid model then? Do you think that's sort of like, if there is some silver lining, do you think it is a silver lining that we have moved to now?
I do, and I think we learn to make it work for all the time. So when people aren't there, you set up a Teams meeting. You've got people in the room and people on Teams, but. That said, it is still nice to have everybody in the room. It can be difficult, even with technology, to hear everybody, especially if lots of people are in the room and you got one or two on the phone. It tends to be a little bit more
screaming
difficult.
Kids in the background, barking dogs.
Of course, yes. Yeah. I have a 4-year-old, so I lived that life for a while.
Yeah. Interesting times for sure. There's a lot of small business owners that listen to this show, architects, contractors, kind of you name it, actually. So when I speak to people like you who are in marketing, I always like to ask them, like, what is one piece of advice you would give to any small business owner, or just any business owner? Like what is one fundamental thing they should be doing marketing?
Well, I would say be flexible and pay attention to the trends and don't be set in your ways as far as how you do things now, because as we learned with COVID, you can't keep doing what you've always done and expect to get the same results, especially when the world changes so drastically.
Yeah. What about so? Is there any? What the economy is, on the tips of everybody's tongue, and sort of like I was speaking with Bill before this interview and everything, and one of the things we were talking about was, well, it feels like we're on a sugar rush, right? All that money got printed, and it's like, okay, and then it's with the building industry, all this work from home, and people were remodeling, and it's just like. It went kind of crazy. Yeah. Seems like it's going to be a hangover, and we maybe will see a downturn. I would love to hear your opinion on, do you think we're going to head into a really hard, bad hangover / recession, or do you think it's going to be soft? Are you optimistic? Are you pessimistic?
I certainly want to take the optimistic stance, and we're still working through a lot of backlog from, COVID times when you couldn't get material and with schedules shifting. So I think there's still going to be a lot of backlog going into any downturn that we do see. And we're making adjustments now to prepare ourselves for, maybe the types of products that people want are going to be different. Maybe they're not going to be focused as much on the high-end products, maybe more industrial type solutions. So we're looking into that. But so far, it hasn't slowed down. If anything, ours has picked up in the last couple months.
Yeah, I know. Same here. Yeah, that's what I mean. But it's almost seems like too good to be true, and I'm trying not to pinch myself.
Right.
It would be nice if the building industry didn't suffer like we did last time.
Yes.
And because there were other industries that were thriving in 2008 and just plowed through it and they crushed. I mean, ARCAT was one of them.
Right.
So very interesting. Well, we're kind of coming up on the end of the interview, and I want to thank you for your time today. There's always one sort of question I like to ask everybody. Is knowing what you know now, and if you could go back in time to when you first started your marketing career, what is one piece of advice you give your former self?
Oh, man, I think just learn as much as you can. Don't say no to any learning opportunities. I think there were probably times early in my career where, there was a conference or something and I was so busy with the day-to-day that I didn't take the time. And you're never going to be less busy. You're only going to get more busy. So when you're young and new to your career, that's the time when you should be doing all those things.
Yeah, and the flexibility. There's no 4-year-old at that point, right?
That's right. You got it.
There you go. Well, thanks so much for your time today. If people like what they heard from you and they want to get in touch with you or find out more about CENTRIA, where can they go?
CENTRIA.com.
Beautiful. Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.